Sunday, the fourth Sunday of the Great Fast, we commemorate our venerable father, John, the author of the ladder. I avoid the Greek term. Nobody knows how to pronounce it. Some say Climacus, some say Climacus, some say Climacus. It means ladder. He's the author of the book called The Ladder. There was 30 steps on the ladder to reach spiritual perfection. And many Orthodox Christians will read this book during the Great Fast because of the spiritual counsel, the spiritual advice that John, even though he wrote it for monks, it really applies to all Orthodox Christians striving to transform themselves through the grace of God to follow in his steps, which of course involves self-examination first, but also examining the evil that surrounds us. St. Paul says very clearly in today's epistle to the Ephesians that you must condemn sins that are done in darkness and expose them to the light. I think I've said this many times, you've heard it many times, but it bears repeating. Some people think Christians are just supposed to walk around mindlessly, not having an opinion about anything, lest we're opposing our religion or opposing our morality on somebody. But that's not Christianity. Christianity does criticize. Christianity does recognize the difference between good and evil. We have a society now that's trying to say they're the same thing. There was somebody saying he was studying his religion. It was a pagan religion. He goes, they're basically saying that there's no difference between good and evil. It's just one. It's the same entity. I think, well, that sums up what's happening in our society in a nutshell. If you don't have God, then there is no good, there is no evil, there's no right, there's no wrong, because it's all our opinion. What makes me feel good? And that changes from person to person. So there is no objective good, there's no objective evil, there's no good objective light, there's no objective darkness. Everything's my opinion. Or what I think. People don't even say what I think, it's like what I feel. Well, feelings will lead you astray. Feelings are the most deceptive things that we have. I mean, it's the easiest way for the devil to lead us astray by influencing our feelings. And that's always been the case. Appealing to our passions. We are required to harness, and if not harness, well, to destroy. If you can't destroy our passions, then at least harness our passions and direct them towards good. But you have to first identify what is evil. You can't just walk through life saying everything is equal, everything is the same, nothing, I'm not going to impose my will on anybody. The thing to remember is when you're doing that, apply it to yourself first. You can't be criticizing others when you or yourself are guilty of the same sins. As a pastor, as a chaplain, I'm treading that line all the time because I'm a sinful man. I can't really call people out. I mean, I can, but in calling people out for their waywardness or for their poor judgments, I have to remember and keep in mind I've made many poor judgments in my own life. It's only by the grace of God that I've been spared the full consequences of my poor choices. Not poor choices, stupid choices in many cases. I mean, why be nice to myself? I mean, sometimes I just do things that are just absolutely stupid, and you go, why did I do that? Why did I say that? But you can't undo it. Toothpaste is already out of the tube. You can't push it back in. I wish you could, but you can't. So today's gospel count, and as you know, it's one of my favorites because you see Jesus getting angry. Jesus isn't supposed to get angry or frustrated. And yet we see it very clearly in today's gospel account. When the apostles were unable to drive out he gave them the power to drive out mutant unclean spirits. They were unable to do so. He said, That's because of the lack of faith. You say, well, why couldn't we do it? Is it because this kind of be only driven out by prayer and by fasting? But it was the lack of faith that frustrated him. It was the lack of understanding that continually frustrates our Lord. He keeps trying to reveal himself, to reveal his kingdom to them, and they just don't get it. Or they miss the point. So our Lord kind of blows up today. How long must I endure you? Knowing that our Lord will always endure us because his mercy is forever, but occasionally feelings of frustrations get expressed. Feelings of frustration get expressed, by ourselves. We sometimes say things that we regret, but those feelings are very real. Feelings of frustration occur because we are trying to reach something we can't reach, perfection. Our Lord is perfect. We strive to be perfect, and we can't be perfect. But we can be faithful. We can be prayerful. We can be dutiful. So as we continue the Great Fast, and Pascha is just a mere 3 weeks away. Let us embrace these remaining 2 weeks of the Great Fast and then the Great Week to draw ourselves more closely to our God, to realize our own weaknesses, the own darkness that still is within our souls and our hearts, which influence it, the passions which still lead us astray. Let's recognize those. Keep praying for the grace of God to enlighten us, to calm us, to give us discernment, that indeed we might embrace that cross and indeed embrace that resurrection which will raise us up from our sinfulness, which will raise us up from the darkness, transform all things into the light of the resurrection. Glory to Jesus Christ.
Glory forever.